Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cricket Casuals podcast. This week we are talking about wicket keeping, and how else can we start a wicket keeping podcast without discussing the controversial dismissal of Jonny Bairstow in the second Ashes Test at Lords. So first of all, John, let's come over to you as a resident umpire. Was it out? And then we'll discuss whether or not he should have been called back or not.
Yeah. 100%. He's
bit
out.
leading that, innit?
Yeah. 100%. 100% in the laws and everything. He's out. The thing that, I've mentioned it a little bit even on my TikTok, that if there was a slight pause, like a brief pause and stuff like that, it makes it worse. The fact that Carey took it and threw it straight away, they were looking for it, and they've already said they were looking.
Because the laws say the laws say that the ball's dead when it's settled in the wicket-keeper's gloves, right? So, but it's like, how do you distinguish? That's the grey area, isn't it? Like, when is it settled? Because it's not when it's immediately caught it, because otherwise stumpings wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like there has to be a period of time when he's caught it and it becomes dead. Is it when it literally stops moving? So like he just holds onto it and that's it.
There's obviously a degree, and it's always going to be that degree of grey area on how people see the point away, because you got wicket keepers. Sometimes they hold it for a little bit. Well, like on a proper stumping, I don't mean the one where he's throwing it from miles down, where they're stood up and they're waiting for a player to overbalance. And at what point do you call that dead? But that's there's always going to be a grey area in how people interpret it, and that's the thing. That's where the controversy comes from: is people how they interpret it, and whether he was going for a run and all that. So that's. But for me, and obviously the umpires that were in the game, he was out.
Exactly.
So what about the everyone saying that? Oh, I think Bairstow said, because the umpires moved, he thought and was under the impression that the over was finished. But do the umpires have to specifically say over?
Yeah, you have to call over. They may be looking like they're getting ready to do it, and you shouldn't. People are saying I've seen people say about the square leg. Square leg can move. It's the standing umpire at the bowler's end that calls it, not the one. I've started moving at square leg, ready to go towards my position before the over's officially been called, but it's the standing umpire at the bowler's end.
So do you think he should have been called back?
That's not my forte. That's
no, but do you not as an umpire, as a cricket
not
fan,
as an umpire,
and
do you
not
think
as
he
an
should have been called
Englishman?
back?
No, I
not
don't.
As an Englishman, as a cricket fan, do you think he should have been called back?
I don't see an issue with it myself. I still think he was out. Even as a fan, as somebody who's played the game as well, I don't think he should have been out. I think he should have been out still.
So just jumping in here, because John umpires, you umpire at Divi 1 or Divi 2 maybe, and in that level, you're looking at any sort of way to get a wicket, and that sort of thing would happen. I think the lower down the leagues you get, the more village or the more amateur it is, the less likely that's going to happen. So at the top level, they're going to look at any way to get a wicket, and three umpires, test international umpires have called it. I mean, the question isn't about the law; it's clearly in the law that it was out. The question is that the spirit of cricket, and spirit of cricket kind of goes out the window when you see what happened in the Lord's long room, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah. Was it the Toffs? I don't know. Someone
on
Twitter. There was. Go on.
His name was something like Barnabas Smythe John. It was the most policy name.
I saw that, but I don't know if that was correct.
I think.
I thought that can't be true. Surely not. But if such person exists, they are definitely an MCC member, 100%. So it's not great, but I don't know. I feel like if the roles were reversed, Stokes said he would have called Carey back, for example. I'm not convinced he would.
I think Stokes has absolutely dug himself a hole there, because imagine if it's 2-2 heading into the Oval and we need something like that to win the Ashes. He's then got to call him back because he said so in open press. But I think that's the difference between England and Australia at the minute. They will win at all costs, and they're 2-0 up. I couldn't give it. If we played boring cricket, I'd rather be 2-0 up playing boring cricket than Bazball and lose. That's the only reason why Bazball was so good, because we were winning. As soon as we lost these two, nobody really wants it anymore.
It's been terrible, isn't it? The twist, the media and everybody, the way it's been like a 180 and a half. It's just like, I feel you've got to feel for the England team.
It's entertaining, though. They do set out to entertain.
Yeah, oh man, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
It's good. It's entertain, but make sure you at least win or at least play sensible cricket. Like we were saying before, I think England have lost these 2 Test matches rather than Australia win them, which is frustrating.
You've got to take them with a smooth, though, aren't you? You can't have it both ways.
Are they memorable? Are these Test matches memorable?
Yeah, it's like they've been. I mean, that first one was Edgbaston was mega.
Like I say, I think the first one more over the Lords one. The Lords one is a bit more due to Stokes all of a sudden lighting the touch paper when Bairstow was given out, and he just going, right, I've got to go for it a bit more.
I don't think he'd have gone that hard if Bairstow would have been there.
No, he wouldn't. They would have. Well, he said it, hadn't he? I think he even said it. He said he would have ridden it out a bit longer.
Stuart Broad was on one as well.
That's what was good about it, isn't it? It's got the emotion going. It's brought the player out, and he's just gone off. I was playing cricket at the time. We kept on asking the score, "What's going on? What's going on?" And as soon as we finished our innings, walked in, and he's only gone and got out, isn't he? Well, I've got a video of me with my GoPro. I've walked in looking for the score, thinking 70 to go. Stokes, come on! Do you know what I mean? And he's got out.
You say that. I was umpiring as well yesterday. I was umpiring and I came in and I put it on my phone and I just took like a bite of my sandwich at tea and I was like, oh, he's just gone and plonked it up. Oh no.
Oh no.
I think that's why Bairstow thing's so controversial, is because that Stokes was getting us there. And if you think we could have won it, and it was like it was the hope that kills you, basically.
I said this earlier. Like, if we'd have lost by 200 runs, that's one thing, but getting that close and almost doing it is worse. I would have rather have lost that test by 200 runs than get to within 40 odd.
Yeah.
But you were keeping what? So does that ever cross your mind when like that kind of dismissal?
As I wouldn't, because they thought that through, didn't they? It's kind of part of. It looks like I haven't watched too much of it. But it looks like it's part of Bairstow's routine. I think they've tried a couple of times. They shied at him when he was there, but did wait until the end of the over, haven't they? That's the sort of. But they've watched it on the video and reviewed it. They've thought about it overnight or whatever, because that's and he must have that sort of routine. So it was all with intent. They meant to do it. It's a marginal gain, isn't it? And it worked. They got the wicket. Like I say, people do all sorts of stuff to get wickets. There's all sorts of things that happen. A little bit of chat here and there, but. At my level, so my thoughts on it, what would I do? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have thought about it. Oh, he's going to walk out and then I'm going to have a go and have a punt and gamble that he's going to walk out. I've got to see that he's actually already out and then do it. So I wouldn't do it on the gamble that he's going to walk out and I'm going to get a sneaky wicket. I'd have to see him, and then take it off. Does that, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do the dirty. It doesn't feel like that dirty. I wouldn't do the dirty. But at our level, why would we do the dirty? You'd just get grief for ages, wouldn't you? Often.
Like you say, it's the higher the level you go up, more stuff.
That's what I see.
It's a not saying it's like an elite mentality. That's what they're trying to say. It's the aim of trying to get the wickets at all costs, and it's a high level thing. So
young wicket keepers now. At the end of every over, just flinging the ball at the stumps just to see if that kind of thing happens.
That's always happened, mate. I mean, it happens. It happens a lot at lower level because that sort of stuff happens, doesn't it? You throw it back much more than you do at test level because there's a wicket I'll put it on in TikTok in a few days or something where I've done that, where I've humbled the ball, they've gone for a run and I've run him out. But. No, mate, if you're going to go down that line, I think there's a lot of other things that have happened in this series that kids will take on. A lot of other, do you know what I mean? The hitting out, they're just going for it. The appealing, the broad sort of type of appealing. I know he's done that for a while.
I hate that type of appealing, by the way. Sorry.
But he's normally right, isn't he? He's bang on, isn't he?
I still hate it.
Yeah, you
Unless
would as an umpire, but
No, I
like,
hated it before. Even before I was an umpire, I still hated it. I just think it's disrespect, isn't it? Turn around and appeal.
Yeah, ask me.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And he always looks so pissed off when it's not given. It's
Hey.
like he's like, have you
But
not?
wasn't he brilliant? Wasn't he brilliant with what's in the wicket keeper when he told him, "This is what you're going to be remembered for." It was
Yeah.
cutting. I'm telling you, I was like,
Bro-
"Oh God, you just feel cold." That's so cold.
He's not wrong, though, is
trying
he?
to wrestle. He's trying to wrestle his like most hated man in Australia crown back from Rolly Robinson. He's got a competition now. He's just trying to out bad guy
You
each
could see
other.
the smirk on his face as well. He just
Yeah.
knew he had Carey all over it. It was
Yeah.
brilliant.
But what about? So everyone's saying, right, that it shouldn't have been given out because he's not trying to get an unfair advantage. So obviously, you had two controversial dismissals of that one and a man-cad or run out non-striker's end. Obviously, a man-cad and run out non-striker's end is a batsman trying to gain an advantage. They should have called Bairstow back because he was just, he
He's
wasn't
not
going
trying
to
to take
earn
advantage.
something from it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I still think it
I
now.
agree with that.
Dozy, but it was
Yeah, I mean,
there's grounds to recall that more than a run out non-strikers end.
Yeah, it's not like he's trying to sneak. It's not like he's sneaking a yard or inadvertently sneaking a yard. But I mean, it's.
Is there any
is that-
precedent in the Ashes for anyone doing that? Has there ever been any callbacks in the Ashes?
I'm not sure in the
happened?
Ashes. I know
No.
Dhoni called Liam
Yeah.
Bell back for something
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah, but in the Ashes. In
No,
the
I
don't
Ashes.
think so.
It's a big call, isn't it?
You're not,
I
you're not gonna-
wouldn't
you're
want
not gonna
Stokesy
call.
to call him back. I wouldn't want
No,
Stokes to call
that's
him
what I mean.
back,
If the shoe was on the other foot, all this sort of righteous indignation would be like, idiots walked out of his crease. What's the problem?
Yeah, correct.
So it's.
But I think
it's
that's the
fine.
silver lining from this. I generally think it's actually kind of like, when they say like you've awoken a sleeping giant. I think England have been far too nice. And I genuinely think that picture of Bairstow shaking hands afterwards.
That was so funny, that video. That video was...
that is going to fire England up, hopefully, and it's probably one of the only times where I've agreed with like KP when he was having that rant, I think, in the first test, going, why are they all pally with them? This is Australia.
Yeah.
This is the Ashes.
No,
like,
it was day two. Yeah. It was when we were coming out to bat for our
innings. Was it day two, was it?
Yeah, or it might be when we were coming out to field after a session.
You're going out there, they've bowled bounces at
nicely.
you, and I think he's spot on. There's just been no aggression. Like day one of Lords, we looked like we didn't care. We didn't have any fire. The Australians were like, right, we'll go and foot on the throat, win this Ashes. Yeah, exactly. And it's just But hopefully now, I reckon England will win the next one. This is what we hope anyway. Definitely win the next two, and then it decide at the Oval will be insane sport. Like that's been the best thing.
I definitely had decider at the
Oval.
I definitely had decider at the Oval. So that's
it's a long
think my
shot.
nerves would take it. My nerves won't take it. But
one thing is that Leeds will be like a cauldron nearly, won't it? It'll be.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. I won't want to be Alex Carey at Headingley. This is wicket keeping. So they're obviously two of the biggest wicket keepers in the world, right? I guess at the moment, or one of the most high profile.
Yeah, well, Ben Folkes, but
so how do you? Ben Folkes. Ben Folkes wouldn't have. Ben Folkes wouldn't have been out of his crease.
Correct.
But he also wouldn't have fireman's lifted a protester over his shoulder either. What do you want in the team?
He would have taken all the chances in the first test, and we would have won it. So
very true.
Yeah. What would you rather have?
Yeah. So why do you decide to become a wicketkeeper? Why would anybody want to become a wicketkeeper without sounding mean?
Over the Mutz, so I come first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can try to answer it, but I know why I became a wicketkeeper? That was because I couldn't do anything else, so I couldn't bat or bowl. But to get in the team, they needed a wicketkeeper, someone who could stand behind the stumps. Obviously, it's a really low level when I came back to cricket at 30. So I kept wicket, and I was, a bit chatty as well. So that got me through it, and and then just got better and better. I don't know why you would do it as a young level. I don't know. I didn't do it as a kid.
I've seen a few young players who've done it for quite a few years up to a certain point, and then the hands, the back, they're just
It's
know.
notoriously quite difficult, isn't it? It's
praise
really
anybody
hard.
who wicket keeps, and a good wicket
Yeah,
keeper is
the better you
gets
get
your
at
wickets.
keeping, the less your fingers break. By the way,
Yeah.
I used to break them all the time, but
Yeah.
I shouldn't say anything. I haven't.
I feel like that's fielding in general. If you catch the bloody thing, you're not going to break your fingers.
I don't know. We're all taking a high catch
Yeah.
at like an early April morning when it's freezing cold and it feels like you've snapped your fingers in two.
Yeah.
So I guess wicket keepers are renowned for being sort of gobby, aren't they? That's like all the best ones are sort of chatty behind the stumps and getting the batsman's head. So do you think it suits a more outgoing, extroverted personality who's like more wants to be in it every ball rather than sort of hitting away at square leg or doing a spell and then hiding away?
I think you've definitely got to be confident. I think all the energy in the field comes from the keeper. So if your keeper's not up and about, then everything's going to be flat. Like because they're the closest to the action. Like since I've been doing it the last couple of weeks, you feel very much in the game, and if you can feel the tempo drifting, once you start buzzing around, and it's easy enough to go run to your position because you're only running 22 yards. But if you do that, everyone kind of follows, and I think I think it's quite an underrated kind of thing to do. Is get the boys fired up or girls, depending who you're playing with. But
I really like the idea of it, but it seems exhausting because you've got to be that character for 40 overs or 20 overs or whatever. You can't really.
Yesterday I did 45 overs keeping, and then 30 overs batting straight after. So 75 overs. I'm literally and so I'm nearly 50. I'm 50 this year, and that was. But it's good for you, isn't it? It's a good workout, isn't it? And a lot. If you've seen a lot of older people just say, play a bit of cricket, and if they battle, they bowl, or they even in the field, it keeps you going, doesn't it? It's a bit.
I'd say that. So the last couple of weeks I've been there, the first week was tough. Like the days after, my legs were shot. But I think now I'm getting used to it. My legs feel a lot stronger and like maybe slightly a bit fitter. Because basically what you're doing is just squatting all day, aren't you? So you're doing like 200 squats in a day, and you're like, oh, okay. So you're gonna feel a bit better.
If you can't bowl, then wicket keeping is brilliant. All the batsmen want a wicket keep if they get the chance. If they're not playing in their first teams or whatever, they'll love to wicket keep. It's just better than fielding, isn't it? You're in the game. Yeah. It's much better than fielding. You got gloves on as well, so it helps.
I tell you, it's one of those where obviously I was in the ones not batting particularly well, being stuck out on the boundary, not really. I mean, I was basically just stood in a field for 8 hours. Now I've gone down to the twos. If I don't do well with the bat, which I'm not doing, you're still in and around the game. I can set fields, I can talk to bowlers, I can have a little chat with the batter or the umpire or whatever. And it's just a more enjoyable day out. So if you are thinking of what should I do, keeping is definitely one of those. Everyone needs a keeper. You might be a bowler and not bowl in a game, or you bat and you will be out first ball or not bat. But keeping, you always got to do something.
I guess it's the one role where you will always be involved. So the constant, isn't it?
And a good keeper is dime a dozen sometimes. When I used to bowl seam, swing, a little bit quicker than I do now. A keeper stood up to me because most people, if they didn't have the keeper stood up, a lot of people would come out the crease and try and meet the delivery a bit more because then it wouldn't swing as much. And when a keeper comes stood up, and a good keeper who can take it and then get that stumping or take that thin edge closer, it's just I must have got like 30 or 40 wickets just from a good keeper being stood up.
Yeah.
So
I think you've got to be brave as a keeper. Like your bravery is. I mean, I stood up to Seamer on. I mean, it wasn't particularly quick, but he bowled a Yorker which absolutely popped off a full length, and you expect, it shouldn't bounce, and it's just risen up and plonked me straight in the grill. That's one of those.
You've got to wear a few. Yeah. You got to wear a few.
It was one of the. Everyone's like, you're right, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I've got a bloody helmet on. It's, you just got to brush it off, haven't you? But
yeah. So Where do you know where to stand? This sounds like a really novice question. Obviously, when you're not stood up, you stand back. But how do you rely on knowing how quick your bowlers are? Or do you sort of have a few throwdowns before? Because I've never seen that, really. Is that a really stupid question?
Well, it's not. Well, it's just like anything, isn't it? It's just you're picking the length, aren't you? Even when you're batting, so it's where you're working out where the ball bounces and how far it's going to come through, and then you work it out after a couple of balls. But the problem is, at our level, it could go anywhere. So you just got to kind of take a risk and find a sort of area that kind of works. If you get a decent, you get a good bowler, you just like standing in the same position, going like this, and you can start doing tricks and stuff.
Yeah. So you mean the ones that go down leg side aren't called wides and they go for 4 byes?
Yeah, if you do it to me in the first over, I'm not stopping it. I might warm up by the second over, but if anything down leg side is 4 byes. Straight off.
It's where you want the umpire. It's where you want people like me to go and give it as a wide, and then it doesn't look. It's gone on your.
I'm not. That does get me very annoyed.
I'm going to say a few wicket keepers. They look at me when I give them as byes, and I'm like, because on the Sunday cricket that I umpire, unless it's really wide, the leg side is just not a wide. I know the higher you go up on Saturday cricket and like Prem cricket, it is, but yeah, not on the stuff I umpire most of the time.
It's probably important to say that wicket keeping is like my brother really described it to me well. There's no glory in wicket keeping. It's a really, really look at what's his name, the keeper, the England keeper who didn't make it. I forgot his name now. Folks. Yeah. He's the best at what he does, and he's not made it. So it's unforgiving. There's only one person that can do the job to get to the pinnacle of it. You've only got one chance. Like look at Gilchrist when he was Australia. How many people couldn't get to the pinnacle? It's a very and if you're supposed to catch everything. You can't drop anything. You're supposed to do all. There's never supposed to be any byes. It's a very difficult job.
You remember for the errors
at the highest level. Yeah, at our level or lower level, if you're having it playing for a laugh, you've got to be just thick-skinned. I think rather than mouthy, I think you've got to be thick-skinned because you're going to get a lot of grief from everywhere. Your team, the other team when you drop it, your team when you drop it, and when you catch it, like I say, you're supposed to catch it. So, I think rather than being mouthy, I think you've got to be a little bit resilient. I don't know. Yeah. So the mouthy probably comes as a defense mechanism to that.
I think maybe mouthy's the wrong. You've got to be an extrovert, I think, or at least have those qualities where you can be chatty, or you don't have to be abusive when you're a keeper. Like Saturday, I was just having a chat with people, and I think a keeper that is just dead silent is probably worse. I don't know. 100%. Because I usually go out and I expect to be sledged, or I expect to be like spoken to or whatever. If someone just doesn't speak to me, I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird. And I'll probably think about that more than somebody giving me a same old sledge that I hear every week. So
we had a young keeper. I don't know how old he is now, but he played for like Yorkshire Rockets. There was like some sort of entry level, mid sort of county level youngster team. But he was really gobby, and he came up with he's like sledged. He's like 12. But he's sort of like say like get the washing out lads, he's going aerial and things like that with all the
wow,
that's incredible
in the air.
I like that.
He came out with a few
those kind of
buckle up, you can't drive. Things like that,
it's dying art, isn't it? Those kind of clever sledges. I just don't think anyone does them anymore. That well,
I don't mind it. I don't.
I think that's good.
If it's sledge, I don't mind if it's like that because that's
But most people now, it's just like, oh yeah, you're shit, or
it's always the keeper. Like that's another thing that's like the keeper's responsibility. They sort of set the tone of, I guess the banter, to use that word. They set the tone of it.
Have you seen that like sketch where it's like the bloke who's like the official sledging person, so he's not good enough to be on the team, but he's in the team showers like handing out sledges before they go out, and he's like, "Yeah, I claimed 3 wickets today from sledges."
I think that's a Grubs one, isn't it? That's a Grubs thing. Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a professional sledging.
Everyone will be doing all week at work. get on Play Cricket, see how someone's got out in the week, get their stats down, reel them off. Imagine that. Imagine going out to bat and someone knows your stats better than you do. That'd be wild.
That'd be
That's
quite,
pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah. If I
I don't know.
if I forgot to the crease and someone was sledging my strike rate, I'd be
Or somebody, they come in, they go, I see you got a golden last week.
Just like,
Nice
come on,
one.
mate.
To be fair,
Terrible.
Chill
I
out.
think first game of the season, I probably put a TikTok out at the beginning of the season where it was like you could see your percentages of LBWs and whatever. I think second game of the season, someone was like, "Oh, this is your LBW percentage. Watch those pads." And I was like,
no.
Don't worry, I ran myself out before that happened. So,
all right.
So one thing that I've noticed about wicket keepers in the limited time I've been playing the past few years is that they never wash their gloves or their inners.
Right.
Is that something that is a common theme in cricket, or is that just something like the Wicket Keepers Union that is just agreement for? How often do you wash your gloves?
We're not. I'm, the proper. I'm not a proper wicket keeper. I don't think Aidan is either yet.
No, well,
he may be.
I won't be able to. I think it's just notoriously difficult to wash keeping gloves. I don't know about inners, but inners just sit in my bag, and apparently, if they're a bit wet, it's better for you. So I just leave the sweat on there.
Yeah,
The
that
level
probably
ones
explains
are.
it. Probably explains why they're sort of a bit smelly.
Yeah, correct.
But what proper keepers, the real keepers, they really look after their gloves. I mean, I've seen gloves that are 25, 30 years old. They put them in bags afterwards, look after them. They're the proper season in, season out keepers that have done it. And that's what they do. They probably bat at 10 or 11. But the gloves are meticulously looked after, as is a lot of their care. So those type, you get that type of cricketer, don't you? You get a lot of wicket keepers that are that sort of, in that sort of niche, if you like.
So how do you look after them? But is it because it's not like a bat
it's
where
leather,
you just
isn't
sort
it?
of oil them?
Yeah, it's
okay,
leather.
so it's just like
you put some
treating it and making sure it's
whatever on it
They
to keep it soft.
They get chucked in my bag at the end of the game. Should I be looking after them, Mutz?
Yeah, but you probably haven't got leather ones, have you? You've probably got the PVC ones or whatever.
Probably, yeah. They don't catch the bloody thing, so.
So the person, right? So if it's wicket keeping, what wicket keeper inspired you? What wicket keeper can you remember? It's one that I like. I'll ask it to you guys.
So
who's your favourite wicket keeper and why?
One I always used to like. One I remember watching a little bit was Jack Russell, a little bit. But otherwise, was probably Alex Stewart was one I saw a lot early on. That's when I probably really started fully watching cricket. So,
who do you like though? Who's your favourite wicket keeper?
If you're going now, I wouldn't say it's Bairstow. I would say at the moment it's got to be somebody like Folkes because he's just. I mean, a few years ago, it probably been James Foster. He was always very good, but I just like what a good keeper for me is always. You like watching him, so I'd say at the moment it's got to be Folkes. But yeah, over the years I've loved watching all types of wicket keepers. It depends on how you want to go about it, because
the Jack Russell shout is a great one, because obviously that was before I even knew what cricket was. But I've seen clips of him where he's got that like the bucket hat on, the shades, and he stood up to like 99, like quick bowling. Yeah, and that just looks incredible. Like, is
the rumor true about how he never used to shower and he never used to like wipe his arse and things before he went out to try and put the batsman off? Because I've heard that, and I'm just never sure if that's actually true or not.
The pod hasn't taken a turn.
I just got a feeling he was quite sweaty, if anything, and he didn't wash his hat. He had the same hat on and stuff.
Like long shaggy hair, and
it's one of his
paints now, doesn't he?
OCDs.
Yeah,
I think he's always painted. He's a good painter.
Yeah, he's a very good painter, isn't he? So
what about the rest
on wicket keepers? I never really focused on the wicket keeper. The one I sort of remember from when I started was probably Haddin from Australia, thinking he's sort of really noticing he was good. and Pryor. I was never really into cricket for like I guess Dhoni's best years and things like that. So, but seeing him in the IPL, you know, he's probably one of the most entertaining because he's that big character behind the stumps as well. I do like Butler, but I don't know. I don't know if I have a favourite wicketkeeper. I'd probably say, if I was picking a keeper for the England squad, I'd probably say Folkes. But I do like Jonny Bairstow because, you know, it's Yorkshire Union, isn't it?
I was going to say Yorkshire.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I was going to say it was shameful we never mentioned Dhoni, but Adam luckily got it in there because he just like.
I haven't said anything yet.
It's very much like Jimmy. It's like they're both over 40, aren't they now? And they're both still like absolute guns. Like some of the takes and the stumpings, how quick Dhoni is ridiculous. Yeah, Folkes should be England keeper. I think it's one of the, it's like Mutz said, you know, you're expected to catch everything, and Folkes pretty much does. So I think a gun keeper, you know, is always going to be the favourite. But yeah, I think on the England things as well, they've picked the wrong squads, and it should be Folkes. So I don't really know what's going on. But that's why the position's evolved now, isn't it? You need to be able to bat, which is how cricket has evolved. And everyone, I think, needs to bat in baseball. Clearly, can't have a long tail.
It's not working, is it? But
no,
we digress.
No. Who inspired you?
Yeah, go on. Who's yours?
So my first memory of a wicketkeeper was Bob Taylor. Bob Taylor, and he was filling in for Alan Knott. So my dad's favourite was Alan Knott, and they were both eccentric. You'll have to look them up. So if you're watching this or whatever, look them up now. They've both got very eccentric wicket keepers, and I guess that's what appealed to me for your original question. They always stood out, just funny hats. Alan Knott used to have his up that way, and Bob Taylor had his down. The sun hat, white sun hat. So his was more like the bucket hat, what is in fashion at the moment. And the thing about Bob Taylor was, and I only really found this out afterwards, he never had webbing in his gloves.
All right.
So he was one of the only keepers that wouldn't have webbing. He was literally, it's unbelievable gloveman. Way before Jack Russell. You can't compare in it. I don't think you can compare. But Alan Knott was the gun originally, and I think there was something happened, so he couldn't play, and then Bob Taylor got in the England team, and they couldn't, and Alan Knott couldn't get in. But that was when I first started watching cricket. My favourite keeper would be MS, 100%. It's brilliant. Really. If you ever watch the film, it's pretty good. You might have to watch it in subtitles, but it's all right. Yeah. It's a good, you know, if you like that sort of uplifting movie. That's my wicket keeping people. England wicket keeper, I don't know, man. Foster was good in his day. Folkes is good. I mean, who's been the best England wicket keeper in recent times? It's a hard one, isn't it? There's no one that really stands out, is there?
Who do you have in then, Bairstow or Folkes? Since we've all answered it.
Well, I was upset, wasn't I, when Folkes wasn't in the team originally and they went for Bairstow. But I like Bairstow. I like Stokes. They're my, do you know what I mean? So I go with the heart. So I'd have Bairstow in the team. If Folkes could get in the team somehow, I don't think the problem's there though. My problem is what everyone doesn't want to talk about. The problem's that the bowling attack's toothless. Warner and Quadra are going out and thinking, okay, this is all right, isn't it, lads? Going to open up against these two. I don't know, but yeah.
I think before we get off track and we go too far, but I think that's the main difference between England and Australia at the minute. If you look at the backup bowlers, obviously in the second test, you've got, you know, Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, all bowling near enough 90 mile an hour. Whereas us, it's Jimmy and Broady. If it's not swinging, it's 80 mile an hour. And then your first change is Ollie Robinson, who was bowling mid-70s after chirping all the Aussies.
Do you know what, Aidan? I think you said it there, and I don't think you meant to say it, but you said backup bowlers. And Australia haven't got any backup bowlers.
Yeah.
They're all frontline bowlers. Every one of them, you'd be like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no one easy, is there?
There's no one you're looking for to take a few runs off. It's like the first change is just as good.
and then apply the same logic to the top 5 of Australia,
Mm.
and then kind of try to take your heart out of it and thinking what this England team is actually doing is pretty phenomenal. I know it's in England, but they're on the pinnacle. They've got a real good. I think I talked about it in the podcast before about which team is going to be the best. And the team spirit within Australia is, it's unbelievable, isn't it? And people having a go at them is only making them stronger as a unit. I'm thinking, all this stuff that's happened is only making them stronger.
You close ranks, don't you? You close ranks. So I mean, it's Australia. They're going to be quite happy to be attritional and mean and nasty. Of course they are.
And so the only way to beat them is how Stokesy's going to beat them. It's just by going off. Being extravagant, being, do you know what I mean? And people need to lay off. I don't know. Anyway, I'm kind of, I'm a little bit.
Yeah. I think the worrying thing is that I don't think the Aussies have fully fired yet. Like, Marnus hasn't scored big runs yet.
It's been rubbish. It's been great.
It's been great for us, but imagine if they were all on fire. I think they'd absolutely.
Yeah, but what team? Let's be honest. What team actually has that though? You never. What team in ever history has ever had their top 5 or 6 batters firing? It doesn't happen because normally if one's get in the runs, the rest will just bat round him and score a few. You don't get 2 or 3 or 4 that do it all series and stuff like that. So
thank God.
Yeah, we can't believe I didn't mention him in the wicket-keeper section, and he placed my club, and it's Prasanna Jayawardene. Even Sangakkara said he's better than him as a keeper. Sorry, I just had to say that. Carry on.
Wow, man.
Beauty! This week it's Wicket-Keepers, so I put together a quiz. So what I'm going to ask each of you is, I've got lists basically. So I'm going to ask you to name keepers with various stats. You will get 1 point for each keeper that is correct. We'll go around. We'll do 1 round for each question. And then we'll see how many points you get in the end. You can't use the same name twice, so you can't have like folks the answer for every question or something like that. So use your big names wisely. But we'll crack on. So first question is, I want you to name me a wicketkeeper that has more than 1,000 runs and more than 100 catches in tests. And I've got a list of the top 10. So I'll go Aidan, John, and then Mutz, because that's the order you're in on my screen. So Aidan, a wicketkeeper with more than 1,000 runs and 100 catches in tests, please.
Oh, I'm gonna. Have they got to be active, or is that just
no
of all time?
Throughout time.
I'm gonna go for Brendan McCullum.
No, not on the list. Not in tests.
Human.
Brendan McCullum hasn't got 100 catches in Test cricket.
That's
not under 1,000 runs.
He hasn't got 100 catches.
Not in the top 10. Not in the top 10.
Oh, top 10
on the list, but not in the top 10.
Well, all right then.
Okay.
I've got one then. I'm going to go.
Wait a minute, is it your turn? Hold on. Is it
no, it's me.
It's John's turn. It's John's turn.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go Sangakkara.
Oh
no, not in the top 10. No.
Oh my God.
What?
Adam Gilchrist.
Yep.
Yes, mate.
Adam Gilchrist is top of the list with 5,570 runs and 416 catches.
Come on.
I'm assuming Mutz has now burnt his Adam Gilchrist, though. That's what I was.
Yes.
If I'd have said Dhoni, would I have been all right?
Yes.
Fuming. I hate this. I hate the quiz section now.
Mutz continues his hot streak here. He's winning. Mm-hmm. So the next one, I've got the top 10 list of the highest scores by wicket-keepers, again in tests. These are all in tests. So the top 10 highest scores by wicket-keeper in tests. So again,
seems I was wrong. Can I use my?
No, you can't go first now. It's got to be someone else who's first.
Okay, we'll go backwards then. We'll go this time. We'll go Mutz, John, and then Aidan.
Sangakkara.
Oh, you
Yes.
can't do that to me. That was mine.
Sangakkara's high score. He's number 2. Sangakkara's high score was 230.
Oh, how much?
230.
230.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Wicket-keeper. High
Yeah.
score.
Keepers have got more than
Yeah,
230.
it's the right knock. I think that was not out as well, actually. So,
It can't be. No, it can't be.
come on, John.
Okay, I think
I'm gonna go.
I
I don't think it is. Oh, let me. I'm gonna go Gilchrist.
Yes, in at 8 on the list.
Oh,
204.
Yeah,
well, at least
I
you got
don't
one
think
right.
Gilchrist has got a double 100. He bats
Yeah,
too
No.
low, didn't he?
204.
Yeah.
Is
He's
high score.
204. Okay.
I'm gonna go Matt Pryor.
It's not in the top 10.
Oh,
That's terrible, man.
I swear he put on like a 400 partnership with Brody
Maybe,
back
but he
in the
didn't.
day.
I mean, he could well have. He could well have just for
I swear he
for
got
clarity.
390. Yeah, got a 390 on partnership against India, and Brody got
Well,
100.
he could very well be there. There's a couple that are in there twice, but the one that is the 10th is God, I'm not going to say this. Budhisagar Kundaran from India with a top score of 192. So that's the sort of level you're looking at. Big
Right,
Daddy
okay.
hundreds,
wow.
the top 10s. But yeah, unlucky. So we've got Mutz on 2, John on 1, Aidan on 0.
So I'll start writing the quiz for next week. Oh,
So this time we'll go John, Aidan, and Mutz. So I want you to give me, John, the name of an English wicketkeeper who has the most dismissals. Again, this is the top 10.
Most dismissals.
Most
That's
dismissals
easy.
in tests.
I'm gonna go. Alan Knott.
Alan Knott's top of the pile with 269.
Come on, man. That was easy.
Yeah, I don't care.
I just mentioned him.
I know you did.
When you mentioned him, I thought, oh no.
I didn't know. To be fair, I knew he was up there. So
Go on, Aidan.
I'll have Jack Russell then. Surely he's in the top 10.
Yep, number 7.
Yeah.
Excellent. Go for it.
165 dismissals.
Alex Stewart.
Alex Stewart is number 3. He's on
Yeah.
there. 241 dismissals.
It's not Bob Taylor, is it, too?
Bob Taylor. Bob Taylor's 174. He's on the
2.
list.
Well, it's
Yeah.
174.
174, yeah.
okay.
So we've got Mutz on 3, John on 2, and Aidan's there on 1. So same question, but for Australia. So Australia's wicket-keepers with the most dismissals in test. So we'll go this time. We'll go back to the start again, and we'll go Aidan, John, and Mutz.
I'll go Ian Healy.
Ian Healy's on there, 395.
Come on, mate. It was the obvious one. Is it me next, yeah? Adam Gilchrist.
John next.
Oh,
Okay, well, yeah.
I was going to say Gilchrist.
Gilly's there.
I genuinely was going to say Gilchrist.
Gilly's there, top of the pile, 416.
You've already mentioned him, so I was going with that.
I know. Wait, you burned your Gilchrist there on the first question.
Controversy.
Who, me?
Oh,
Yeah.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you burned Gilchrist.
Oh, I didn't. I was going to say.
Mutz. So John.
So I couldn't have done Gilchrist.
No.
Okay,
John?
so
Who are you going to go for?
Oh,
John
I was going
hasn't.
with Gilchrist anyway. Yeah.
This time. Okay. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was going Gilchrist. Yeah. Sorry.
Gilchrist.
Mm.
Go on, Mutz.
I don't know.
Has he got to go again, has he? Oh.
Rod
Go
Marsh.
again, yeah.
Rodney Marsh.
Rodney Marsh is there, number 3, with
There you
355 dismissals. So going into the final question, we have Mutz on 4, John on 3, and Aidan on 2.
Is it double
there's
points?
No.
No, don't. I don't want to lose
Let's
now.
take. Do you want it to be double points?
No.
I mean, you're the quiz master. Make it a bit interesting. You know, this is the Oval. It's 2 each.
Mutz,
Let
what do you
all
think?
results
Double
be
points.
I don't mind. If it makes him happy.
Mutz is in the lead. He won't mind. I'm in threat of losing again and doing another quiz.
Yeah.
We'll double points.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's double points. So this time, I want you to give me one keeper with more than 5 dismissals on debut. So we can.
Well, that's impossible.
It's a big old list,
Fine.
so we can go round once or twice.
Right, okay. Who are we starting with?
More than is this
John.
tests? I am
Me.
assuming.
This is tests, yeah. So
Tests.
we'll go John, Mutz, Aidan.
5
This is
dismissals
More than
on
5 or
debut.
more
on debut.
on debut.
Oh, it's going to be some weird people, though, isn't it? It's not.
I'm gonna throw one out there. James Foster.
Just consult my list. Foster's not on there.
Damn it!
Controversy in the quiz.
Folks.
Sorry, who?
Folks.
Folks.
Ben Folks.
No, he's not there.
Oh, it's all right, 'cause that's what I was going to say.
Here we go.
A hard one. That's pretty hard.
I'm going to go for Sangakkara then.
Bless you.
No, not on the list.
Right, back to me then. Back to
Right,
me.
we'll go around again.
I've got one for you. And this is probably, I don't know. I'm going to go Grant Jones.
Geraint Jones. No, not on the list.
Oh,
Who's it next? Is it Mutz?
It's Mutz next.
Okay, I think I've got one. I've actually got one. No pressure, Mutz.
Brad Haddon.
Brad Haddon. Yes, he's on the list.
oh.
He took 6 on his debut versus the West Indies in 2008.
Right.
Aussies never fail. Sorry. Go for Aussie if in doubt.
Go on, Aidan.
I might have been far too overconfident in this, but Josh De Silva from West Indies.
No.
Oh,
I swear there's one. I swear there's one really recent one. I swear there's one recently in Test days.
There is one really recent, and it was Alex Carey.
Oh
yeah.
In
I thought it might have been him.
In the 2021
He's good
Ashes
though, isn't he?
series, after Tim Payne retired, came in.
No. I remember that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good though.
Yeah, fair
He is
play.
good.
Took
He's
8 on his
getting better
debut.
as well.
Yeah, took
I
8.
ain't got to do a quiz next time.
I'm fuming. I was so confident it was Josh De Silva.
I mean, needless to say, Mutz wins. Hot streak continues. I did have a couple of tie-break questions if you want to just have those for fun.
Go on then. We might as well. Content's content, innit?
So Andy Flower holds the record for the highest Test score as wicket-keeper for Zimbabwe v India in Nagpur in 2000. But what was his score?
323.
No.
Higher or lower?
I'm gonna get a guess from all of you, and I'll just take who's nearest.
242.
242.
269.
No, it was 232.
Yeah.
So Aidan was scarily close there.
Triple points.
No.
Just to show there's no points at stake. Tiebreaker had, just in case, because I wasn't sure how good your wicket-keeper knowledge was. I didn't want one of you to go to tiebreaker and just pull out that stat.
Yeah.
The one I got is Rodney Marsh.
Mutz said it with so much confidence, I thought he'd got it.
I know, yeah, that's what So Rodney Marsh holds the record for the most Ashes dismissals, but how many did he make?
47.
47?
Yeah.
No.
I'm going to go 61.
No.
Go on,
Okay, let's work this out, right? So he must
Jesus, I thought you had to
played
leave,
for
man.
about 12 years, right? Must have played 12 years, 6 Ashes in each time, 6 times 6, 36, 72 innings. Say he'd done maybe 120? 100? No, 100.
148.
Oh, wow.
148, yeah.
Phenomenal.
See, because
147 catches.
Gives you an educated guess, lads. Rather than
Oh, no, I'll
42.
just go for it.
Probably helps that you're alive.
Only
at the
7
time.
stumpings in all those. 7 stumpings, 141 catches.
Mate, Dennis Lilly Thompson, he was keeping to.
Yeah,
Come on.
catching for days, edges
Mate,
for days.
You know when you're batting and the bowlers go doing this. Imagine that. Wow.
So yeah, John, you're on quiz duty next week. I'm afraid.
No. Whoa, hang on.
Oh, no, you're not. Sorry, no, Aidan, you're on quiz.
Excuse me. Aidan was quick to look away then.
So, right, boys, I need a wooden spoon. I know that.
We should put these in a league table to see who's the best over time.
I think Mutz is in the lead, definitely.
Oh yeah,
he's won 4, and he or 3.
Well, he's yet to do a quiz, so that says
he's yet to do a quiz. We need to get him to do a quiz.
What are we doing next time? Shall we do a women's Ashes and a women's cricket episode as our overriding?
You need to know enough about it, man. And like, do you know? I don't know enough about it.
Might be our first guest.
Yes, if you can get a guest,
we can float a guest in, and we'll see.
If you get Sophie Eccleston, that'd be amazing.
Excellent, yeah. She could teach us how to bowl spin.
We just Alex Hartley will come on, surely.
I wouldn't be able to talk then. Can't talk to women. That Saturday night showed me.
Well, that's how to finish it. That's how to get rid of the number 11.
Thank you, ladies and gents, boys and girls, for listening, watching, wherever you are on the listening to this too. We'd like to just thank everybody. We've hit 100 subs on YouTube. That is amazing. Please do keep liking and subscribing, commenting what you want to see next on the podcast. Also, thank you we've hit 1,500, I believe, on followers on TikTok as well. It's all great stuff, all leaning towards the great cricket casuals. Make sure you do follow all the gents on the team, and I think that's all from us.